Yang Berhormat Tuan Haji Khalid, Samad, Minister of Federal Territories, Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Michael Yeoh, Executive Advisor to our Kingsley Strategic Institute, Dato, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to begin by extending a very warm welcome to all of you to today's conference on Putrajaya and Greater Kuala Lumpur. We are particularly very gratified to have with us here this morning the Honourable Minister, Yang Berhormat Tuan Haji Khalid Samad, to be with us this morning to deliver the opening keynote address and to share with us his perspectives on the development of Greater Kuala Lumpur. The Honourable Minister, since assuming office, has been providing refreshing, dynamic and ethical leadership to the Federal Territory Ministry. We would like to wish the Honourable Minister great success in your role as FT Minister, and particularly with your ministry taking on an expanded role in being responsible for physical planning, town and country planning, which is now under your ministry. Greater Kuala Lumpur is fast becoming a vibrant, livable city. And we all look forward to the continued transformation of Kuala Lumpur into a smart and sustainable city. We hope during the course of the discussions today, we will be able to share experiences, also obtain feedback and views from local community associations on their aspirations for the development of Kuala Lumpur. I'd like to perhaps suggest here that in thinking about the development of Greater Kuala Lumpur, we need to take into account what I would consider the 7 E's. First, economic growth. Greater Kuala Lumpur must create more economic and business opportunities, particularly for SMEs in the years ahead. The second E, environment. We need to work together, government, business, civil society organizations. We need to work together to protect our living environment and the green lungs here in Greater KL. Third, education. We need Kuala Lumpur to be an education hub, to have education clusters, so that we are able to focus on the creation of knowledge, science, research, and innovation. Fourth E, employment. There is a great challenge, again, for government and business to work together to be able to create more jobs of the future for our younger generation. The fifth E, enforcement. To ensure that we have a clean city, there has to be strict enforcement to maintain the cleanliness of Greater KL. Sixth, engagement. We do hope that the Ministry of Federal Territory, as well as the City Hall of Kuala Lumpur, will be able to continue to engage closely, regularly, with business associations, with chambers of commerce, and more importantly, with civil society and residents associations to obtain the feedback from the ordinary citizens of the city. And seventh and lastly, ethical leadership. We have seen this in the minister providing ethical leadership for the ministry. We do hope that this whole concept of ethical leadership will permeate down the entire ministry, and we can all work together to ensure that corruption is eliminated from both the ministry and City Hall, and that government and business work together in this war against corruption. It is therefore our hope that today's conference will facilitate and enable healthy, open dialogue between government, business, and civil society organizations on how we can together develop and improve the quality of life for all of us in Greater KL. Lastly, I would like to thank all our many speakers for your willingness to be with us today, to share with us your invaluable knowledge and experiences that will help enrich this forum. Once again, I want to thank the Honorable Minister for taking time off your busy schedule to be with us here today, and thank you to all of our participants for coming today. Sekian, terima kasih.
Thank you, Tan Sri Dr. Michael Yeoh, for an inspiring welcome speech. Now, it is with great honor that I invite the Yang Berhormat Tuan Haji Khalid Bin Abd, Minister of Federal Territories Malaysia, to deliver the opening keynote address. Yang Berhormat.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Very good morning to everyone. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Changing channels from Malay to English. Yang dihormati pengerusi majlis, yang berbahagia Tan Sri Lee Yeoh, yang berbahagia Tan Sri Dato' Dr. Michael Yeoh, President Kingsley Strategic Institute, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning to everyone. I'd like to start off by conveying my thanks to Tan Sri Michael Yeoh and the Kingsley Strategic Institute for inviting me to today's event, the International Conference on Greater Kuala Lumpur and Putrajaya. I bring greetings from my fellow colleagues from the Ministry of Federal Territories, to our friends and partners in this room who seek to create a better Kuala Lumpur and Putrajaya, and ultimately a better Malaysia. We are all here today to discuss a wide variety of topics, from sustainability to smart tech, savvy cities, to property, to urban regeneration. While these are all excellent themes to pursue, we must remember that in the final analysis, we are here to make the Greater Kuala Lumpur region an attractive place to live in. I'm quite pleased to see the participation of many key players from various industries, academia, civil society, other government ministries, as well as state and local government authorities in today's events. If we are to talk about ways to bring the greater KL area forward, there is obviously a need for all stakeholders to come together. More often than not, we are all isolated doing our own thing and fighting our own battles. But the key to advancing this agenda effectively is for us to all work closely together towards a common goal. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the government is committed to improving the Klang Valley region. In Kuala Lumpur, DBKL has allocated an RM 2.89 billion budget to enhance comfort and security. Matters of governance is also a prime concern. In this area, I'm pleased to report that the government had successfully renegotiated 23 of the 97 land transactions with several developers and landowners that took place around Kuala Lumpur concerning deals made by the previous administration. This has led to an additional ringgit Malaysia 149 million to Kuala Lumpur that can now be used for further development works. We have successfully gazetted the Kuala Lumpur Development Master Plan 2020 last year to encourage planning and development in the nation's capital. This was a historic occasion, as no plan has ever been gazetted by DBKL until now, which allows us to ascertain if development works have been sanctioned or otherwise, especially the construction of buildings in areas where none is meant to be. Obviously, the gazetting is controversial. It's controversial because it's not done in a normal way. The plan is 2012, but it was gazetted in 2018. I don't think anybody does that. But I was determined to make sure that our city planners are aware and understand the commitment of the new administration to gazette a master or development master plan, because otherwise the new plan that we are working on today would still be looked upon in a sarcastic and skeptical manner, right? So even though it's never been done to gazette a plan which is basically historical, but it was done with a clear purpose in mind. Yeah? A great city is not only about the creation of more and more physical structures, but it is also about programs and activities benefiting its inhabitants. I'm pleased to share that we have launched 15 welfare programs, including mobile clinics, free bus services, youth economic empowerment programs, housing, education grants, and basic amenities, covering not just Kuala Lumpur and Putrajaya, but Labuan as well. Also, in an effort to improve governance, we have completed a redelineation exercise of the Residents' Representative Council, MPP-WP, which involved almost 77 zones, almost exactly a month back. These new zones will enable our members of parliament to communicate more effectively with local residents and come up with more relevant programs that see to the needs of the inhabitants living in the federal territories. In the past, the number of zones was decided based on whether the parliament was a BN parliamentary constituency or otherwise. The BN parliamentary constituency would have 11 zones, even though there were only 20,000 voters, whereas the opposition parliamentary constituency would only have 2 zones, even though there were 100,000 voters, because it was politically motivated. We have redelineated everything, and it's based on the number of voters to make sure that the general public can be properly represented by the MPs. However, we acknowledge that this has not been a smooth sailing process, with many netizens criticizing the move for not consulting members of the public, especially over the Kuala Lumpur Development Master Plan. As I said, it's a historical plan, 2015 or 2012, being gazetted in 2018. You put it out for the public to comment, what can they say? The building is already there. It's already been built. Yeah? You can only criticize the fact that it was approved and it was never in accordance with what was agreed in 2012. But the fact of the matter is that 6 years have passed, and there are many buildings where that should not be, but it is there, and it was done through a legal process in the absence of a gazetted plan. Right? So it's a bitter pill to swallow, but these are the facts. Yeah? So we have to move on. Yeah? So I like to say that the comments and the grievances have been heard, and that we will take all the suggestions into consideration in preparing the 2040 plan, which is currently being undertaken. Right? So now, 2019, 2020, settle. We have to move on. We're moving towards the 2020-2040 master plan, the structural and the local plan. And we hope that all interested parties will still be very active in giving their opinions and suggestions. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in the new Malaysia, participation from all walks of life is welcomed in the building of the nation. In times like this, it is good to have a look at other leading cities around the world to compare what they are good at and learn from them. Here we can take inspiration from the top 10 most livable cities in 2018 from the Global Livability Index by the Economist Intelligence Unit. On top of the list is Vienna, Austria. In second place that year, 2018, is Melbourne, Australia, which has been on the top spot for 8 consecutive years, but recently only just losing out slightly to Vienna. This is followed by Osaka, Japan in third, Calgary, Canada in fourth, Sydney in fifth, Vancouver, Canada in sixth, Toronto and Tokyo are tied at seventh, Copenhagen ninth, and Adelaide, Australia makes up the top 10. It is interesting to note that 3 Australian cities, 3 Canadian, and 2 Japanese cities are in the top 10. In Asia, Hong Kong is the best ranked at 35th in the world. In ASEAN and Southeast Asia, Singapore is at the top at 37th. Our own city, Kuala Lumpur, is placed 77th in the recent index. Unfortunately, this is a drop from the 70th place in 2017. Yeah? So it's not bad enough that we are at number 77. It's a further drop. But some would say 77 is a good number. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Tan Sri Lee whether the feng shui is good. Comparing these top cities, first looking at Vienna, it is worth noting that Vienna is an old city. Its tallest building is only 220 meters, which is considerably shorter compared to the Petronas Twin Towers at 375 meters. This shows that the best place to live is not necessarily one that is most high-tech, nor is it one with many fancy buildings or has a big population. So what makes these cities the top? The criteria for the top cities emphasizes 5 key features: stability, healthcare, culture and environment, education, and infrastructure. The greater the ability to provide these features, the more livable the city is. In other words, the most livable cities are those that take care of the people's basic needs. All these cities are rich with vibrant culture, each with regular festive events held almost weekly, drawing tourists, keeping its inhabitants happy. When people are happy, they are productive at work. These top places celebrate diversity, as one can find the identities of dozens of ethnic groups, religions, culture, and cuisine, thriving openly and harmoniously with one another. There is a high emphasis on the arts, which is what strengthens culture. All these cities have top-notch infrastructure. highly efficient and practical public transportation services, facilities that allow people to function at work and play with highly effective city councils and city services that tend to the needs of the people. All of them have moved towards an environmentally friendly agenda. Some have even banned cars from entering the downtown areas to reduce the carbon footprint. At first glance, this sounds inconvenient, but they have resolved this with the provision of an efficient public transportation service, and generally, pedestrians feel much more satisfied on the move compared when they are driving. The cleaner, sustainable environment is also adding to the level of satisfaction and joy in the day-to-day life in the city. I'm proud to say that in healthcare, Malaysia was very recently ranked first in the best healthcare by the International Living Annual Global Retirement Index, as our healthcare services are amongst the most accessible and affordable in the world. However, its facilities in terms of comfort, especially in the public healthcare facilities, can be further improved for the benefit of patients and medical practitioners. Unsurprisingly, the healthcare services in these top cities provide a mix of quality care and comfort. This, I understand, my colleagues in the Ministry of Health have major plans in store, so there is much to look forward to. The bottom line is that the best cities is where people can live happily together, go about their daily lives with a sense of safety and security, live healthily, have a chance to pursue their dreams, and be able to learn and equip themselves with the necessary knowledge to pursue those dreams. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it would be one of the government's main aspirations for every state capital, major town, and even the kampungs to have high standards of livability, and that one day more Malaysian cities will be included in the Global Livability Index. I urge my colleagues, mayors, council presidents, and councillors to dream big, be proactive, to learn new ideas, and incorporating new features to their towns or cities, and provide all their constituents with the best place to live and thrive. This is what it means to be inclusive. A place where everyone of any color or creed is provided the opportunity. This is a common aspiration as to what we hope Greater KL and Putrajaya can become. Information technology and blockchain solutions enable us to know exactly where these wastages are, allowing us to manage our resources more efficiently. This is not only friendlier to the environment, but it also brings much cost savings for all of us. The development and growth of our cities cannot be left to the sole discretion of our civil servants in local government. There is a role for all of us to play, be it the private sector, civil society groups, and academia, to work together to take the initiative and create opportunities. I hope that during the course of this session, the experts and industry players can present exciting proposals. My ministry, and I'm sure the government as well, is quite eager to learn from you and look forward to the proposal that will be brought forth in today's conference, which can then be considered and incorporated to improve the lives of the people. It is very timely that we have this conference now while we are working on the Master Development Plan for Kuala Lumpur 2040. Thank you, and I wish all a productive and successful conference. Thank you very much.